Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to introduce you to Mick Favar. He is the founder of Green Home Builders, and I'm just really excited for this conversation because I feel like the world is very confused about building and investment and supply chain issues and when to build, when not to build. Should we start building? Should we start investing right now? Personally, I'm in a bit of a situation right now where we are looking for a place to invest in. The title of this webinar is Why is Now the Wrong Time to Build Unless You Build Green? Nick Favar, welcome. Can you just give us a quick briefing on who you are, how you founded Green Home Builders, and then I want to ask you real specific questions so you can help me, and I'm sure thousands of other families, get clear on this next season of building.
So thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be here and share my knowledge with anyone that's interested in building green. Look, my history is that I'm a fully licensed master builder in Australia. I followed the traditional pathway of leaving school and becoming a carpenter and building homes, and I was working for builders, other builders and other companies, and launched my own business back in the late 90s, very early 2000s, and was just building normal homes just like every other builder on the planet. And we got to a point in like 2004 where we really were struggling to stand out in our own market. And my partner at the time, who's now my wife, said to me, let's look at building some green homes. And I went, that'll be expensive and difficult. That was my first response, which is a myth that's in the marketplace that still exists today. And I said, we were planning on building in a village, a show home village here in Australia, and so we decided to build 2 green homes to differentiate ourselves from 30, 40 other builders in the same street. So we did a lot of research on what the actual real principles were on building a sustainable home. What does a sustainable home mean? How much better are they? What are the principles? How do we apply them in our climate or in our zone, our environment? Short story is we built 2 sustainable homes, opened one as a display home, put a family of 4 in the other one for 12 months and monitored their energy use and utility use and the temperatures of that home and how it performed. Over a 12-month period, the outcome was that per square metre or square foot, the homes weren't overly expensive anymore to build than a standard home than what we've been doing. Obviously upgrades are upgrades, stone bench tops and, higher grade appliances cost more money, but the actual building of a sustainable home wasn't actually any more expensive if we planned it from the start. And the family that we had in the home next door had this unique, comfortable, healthy lifestyle at a very low cost. It was a completely different home. The data was compelling about how well that home performed. So, back in the early 2000s, so 2006, we started a company called Green Homes, and we grew from there. We franchised across Australia. After a few years, the brand grew, and with no intention of franchising, we grew the brand across Australia. Then in 2015, we launched in New Zealand, and we're now, we've got 37 territories in New Zealand. And then in 2017, we were presented an opportunity to partner with a builder in the US based in New York. And I remember saying at the time, we don't want to go over to the US. They're 10 years in front of us. Just find someone else there that's focused on building energy efficient, sustainable, comfortable homes. A relationship developed with this particular gentleman, and over a 2-year period, I was happy to share my knowledge. And what we found was that there was just no one in the US actually focused on building energy efficient, sustainable homes. The knowledge is pretty easy to attain, but no one had actually put it into a business model, and no one was actually focusing on, building better properties, high performing homes. So we launched the brand. in the US in November 2019, just before COVID. And we've recently completed, some show homes in the US. We've got some developments underway. We've got, quite a few offices open, and my goal is to change the landscape of residential building in the US. We're going to raise the benchmark. We should be building energy efficient, sustainable homes. Everyone should be doing that. If you're building a home today, you should be building a home that is comfortable and energy efficient.
So I want to ask you a couple myths that when you say green home, and I put the backlight green specifically for this conversation, there's a few things that come up for me. One is it's way more expensive. And I understand how important it is to future pace and future think of energy costs and all of that. And I totally agree with that. But help me understand how this is equal playing field. If I'm, looking at the cost of supplies to build, how is green cheaper?
Okay, so that's a great question, because the myth in the building in space, in building sector, is that building green is expensive and it's difficult. So let's address the expense one first. But that myth exists from the 1970s, 60s, 80s, when it probably was more expensive. The reality was, to build a sustainable green home, people focused on recycled products or products that were sustainable. And back in 50 years ago, the products just didn't exist. So we didn't have efficient lighting, efficient, sustainable appliances, products that were made in a sustainable fashion. What I can tell you today is that all of the product manufacturers on the planet today have a sustainable angle. Some greater than others, obviously. Some are focused on the life cycle of their product, or the carbon of their product, or the transport of their product, or the manufacturing of their product. Everyone's got a different sustainability commitment, but most products that consumers and builders use today have a sustainable green energy envelope, some greater than others. And for builders, it's just about making sure that you choose the right products for that particular environment where the home is being located. Let me talk a little bit about the principles of building green, which haven't changed for thousands of years. We went through a period in the construction industry. We're still in that period today, where builders and designers and people don't think about the way to make the home perform in a particular climate. For example, solar passiveness. Solar passive design means the same thing in Sydney, Auckland, New York, Dallas, Montreal. It means the same thing all over the world. And what that really means is designing a home and putting the layouts, the room locations and the window locations considering the sun to heat of the home, the internal living space in winter, and stay out in summer. So in a hot climate, you don't want the sun internally, and in a cool climate, you do want the sun internally. So what that means is that the home has to be orientated the right way, and the windows have to be in the correct position in the wall to allow the sun to interact with the living environment. Getting that right shouldn't cost any more money to build. Building this room with the window in the right location, as opposed to the window in the wrong location, costs the same amount of money to build the room. It's the knowledge on knowing where to put that window. So that's the sort of knowledge that we're not seeing in the industry utilised. Consumers are aware of it, and builders and designers just aren't paying any attention to it. They're still thinking, from a 1980s mentality, let's build a home that just keeps the water off the occupant's head. Like, we want to build watertight homes. The reality is we need to think differently. We need to think about building homes that are energy efficient, that are solar passive, that have a comfortable and healthy environment for the occupants. We need to think about the life cycle of the habitants living in those homes. It's not overly difficult. The principles are really easy to understand, and they're even easier to apply, but that's what we're seeing in the US market. It's frustrating for me, because I know how much better a home is if it's designed properly, if the windows are in the right location, we get the right thermal mass within the home, how much better that mediates the temperature, having crossflow ventilation, all these really simple principles that no one's doing, right? And we need to be building better homes. So that's what we do.
At what point do you come into the picture? Is this right at the beginning, middle, and at what point does, do we start, having these kinds of conversations? And then with another question of that, are you replacing anybody in the project?
Well, you know what, it depends on the consumer, on the customer, at what point we enter the discussion. We're working with thousands of people, and we're working with people that haven't even purchased their block of land that they want to build on. They are fixed on using our knowledge to make sure they get the right lot. We're working with other people that have got concepts designs done, their ideal floor layout, and we're working with them to make sure that those layouts and their dream is a green, sustainable option. So we can work with anyone at any part of the project, but my advice to anyone that's thinking about building a home is that you need to start thinking about efficiency and understand the principles at the very beginning, because it will help you make wise and educated decisions on whether the type of home you want to build, the type of lot you want to build on, the location, the environment, the way the lot faces. All of those things are important, and the difference between poor decisions or not thinking about this stuff and incorporating this sort of knowledge into your decision-making process, the difference in the outcome is massive. If we talk about the cost being on par, the outcome is phenomenal. The title of this podcast is why it's not the best time to build a home or invest in a home. And my comment is what everyone should be doing is investing and buying and building green homes. Energy efficient, sustainable homes. That's where we're at the precipice of the industry change now globally, and we're going to help that happen in the US.
Yeah, how are you going to help that happen?
Well, we're going to build homes right across the US. We're building homes that are above. We're setting new benchmarks everywhere we're building. So highly rated, high energy performing, highly performing homes right across the US. So both for mums and dads and customers that want to build their forever home. We're building for investors in different developments. It's really important to me that we build better homes, and it's important for those communities, the people that live in those homes, the environment. This is a win-win across the board for everyone, right? So it's important that we're considering these things when we're doing these designs and these developments.
Yeah, I think, thank you for sharing that. I think two things. One is it's not as expensive and complicated as it was before modern times, and we all kind of discovered, oh my gosh, we have to start taking care about the environment differently. That's when it was extremely expensive. And now another side of this is, as an investor, if I was going to invest in any kind of properties, future pacing and future thinking, I absolutely do want to invest in green homes, because that is the way of the future. If not, I'm going back in dinosaur land, right? So absolutely. How do people get in touch with you, Mick? If they want to use your services to help them navigate this space of building green, and B, sounds like you are also building green, and if we want to look and have a conversation about investments, how do we get in touch with you?
So we've got a website, ghbuildersusa.com, where you can find a heap of our designs, download our ebook, look at the green building principles, and just, we're happy to share our knowledge and help consumers become educated. For our investment clients, if you're interested in investing with us, you can go to greenhomesinvestment.com. We've got a range of projects and opportunities available. I think my final message to anyone listening is that, if you're investing in property in any way, whether it's for yourself or whether it's for your investment portfolio, whatever that might be, you should be investing in a property that will yield higher returns, that is going to be a better investment for you moving forward. So, having a green home that's going to rent for a higher yield, sell quicker, and also the habitants that live in those homes, whether it's your own family, parents, or tenants, it's much better if they've got a healthy, comfortable living environment, low-cost living environment. I mean, that's just it goes beyond smart investing or smart planning. This is what we should be doing. And if I'm telling you that there is no extra cost in this, or the costs are minimal, depending on what upgrades are chosen, this is what we should be doing. As anyone building a home should be building a home that is energy efficient and healthy. We've got to start thinking differently about what our homes do. We live in these homes and we spend, upwards of 50% of our time in these homes. We've got to spend time thinking about what we want from our homes, what we want from the area that we live in, what we want for our communities, and how we can make the environment a better place.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Mick, because obviously competing in America is a huge, massive undertaking. So what inspired you, intrigued you to bring your business, your Green Home Builders, over to the US?
Yeah, look, the US is very intimidating, and for anyone outside of the US. But I had this false belief that the US was 10 years in front of everyone else, right, in the world. What I found was when I went over there and based myself there and did a whole heap of study in the construction industry, is that they're actually 10 or 20 years behind everyone else. And there's not only are they still building and designing like they were in the 70s and the 80s, the consumers in the US want energy efficient, affordable, comfortable homes. It was an opportunity that we just couldn't turn away from. So we're in the US to change the building industry. We're going to build homes right across the US. We're doing it now. We've got multiple developments happening. And my message to consumers in the United States is that if you're building a home or investing in a home, you need to do yourself a favor and invest in the best property that you can. Make sure it's sustainable, energy efficient, comfortable, and healthy. And you can do that because we're on the ground there, right? We understand this. We're the best in the world at doing this. We've just won Global Home of the Year for one of our projects. National Association of Home Builders in the US have just awarded us Global Home of the Year. Like, this isn't our first rodeo, right? We know what we're doing. We're building energy efficient, sustainable homes everywhere. And I get passionate about it because no one's doing it. We're the only ones doing it. We all should be doing it. Everyone should be living in energy efficient homes, having a better, healthier, comfortable lifestyle. And that's what our smart investors should have in their property portfolio. So I'm very passionate about the product. It's a win-win for the owners, for the people that live in the home, for the environment, the communities, the people that work on the homes. There's no downside here. So that's why I get passionate. It sounds like a sell. It's not a sell. We're going to change the industry. That's what we're doing. So I'm on a mission to...
It feels passionate, Mick. It feels incredibly passionate, as it should be. Yeah, I have one final question. Is the family that you originally did the very first test project on still living in your green home?
They're not living in that green home, but they're living in now their third green home. So that was 2006. They've now moved on, and they've built with us. We've built 3 homes for them. So the story, what they relocated to the city where I live, and that they rented in that home for 12 months, and we got all this data. They weren't actually interested in building a home at that point in time. They've now built 3, so they're in their forever home. We built a large home and they raised their family, and now they went to another home, and we built 3 homes. They're in their third green home and living a very comfortable, healthy lifestyle, and very much advocates for building green, as is thousands of our clients that we've built for around the world. So yes, absolutely. The story I always say, once you've lived in a green home, there's no going back, right? Once you've had a comfortable, healthy environment and sustainable environment for you to occupy, you wouldn't live in another environment. It's just going backwards. So that's the world. That's the green space that we operate in.
I believe it. I can only imagine that. I'm also a sucker for, if I get a taste of something that's next level, I can never go back and taste what I was tasting. So I can attest to that. If you live in a green home, you're never going to go back. Or if you experience what you build into it, then you just want more. because
Look, and
yeah,
I
it
think-
feels good.
I think people, you know, they walk into a green home and they get that immediate sense of cleanliness, of health, of comfort, lifestyle, whether it's the temperature, the natural ambience of the temperature, the natural light, all of these
Yeah.
things are really important
Yeah.
for our own health, right? Physical and mental health. And once you experience that, yeah, there's no going back. And why would you go back? You know,
Mhm.
why would you not build a green home? You know, we're making it easy for our customers. We're making, before we were there, right? It was difficult because you had to find someone that understood the principles and could they actually, you know, were they creditable? You know, how many homes did they build? You know, did they really know what they were doing? You know, and there's this whole, you know, what is a green home? Is a green home just a home with solar power or a solar hot water system? Or, you know, we're here to change the market and help people build green homes right across the UK.
That's a good point that you just said right there, because what a green home used to mean, to me at least, was a green home with solar panels. To me, I'm like, oh, that's a green home. And there's so much more that I think that when it's actually built correctly, what you guys do is when you walk into it, it's almost organic. You don't even notice it, but you just know that everything feels cleaner. The lights, the air, the paint,
It's better, right?
positioning,
100%.
whatever it is. So I feel like there's so much evolution. You've come so far, and I know that this is only going to take off because when people get a taste of what green home feels like to live in and to sleep in and to eat at the table and all of that, then it is literally the future of buildings, though.
Yeah, and it should have been the future, you know, 50, 60 years ago, but and these principles aren't anything new, but you know, we're very passionate about them. We don't build homes that don't incorporate the sustainable and, you know, green design principles, you know, the proper use of products, which we can get now anywhere. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's a great feeling to be able to give consumers across the globe the opportunity to build, develop, and live in and invest in green homes. So looking forward to
it's an incredible investment. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Mick.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
So greenhomesinvestment.com. Go check it out.